It's unclear whether business is struggling with labor shortages. So whenever you hear this phrase, labor shortage, I want you to think wages too low. That's all you need to know. Wages too low. When you hear labor shortage, just understand starvation, poverty, wage. But since we're talking about Labor Day, we might as well start off the stream with, you know, some fun stories about, you know, them ending the enhanced unemployment benefits and how it doesn't work. But they're doing it anyway. They're doing it anyway. Could someone explain why? Austerity does not work. And yet, here we are with more austerity. Of course it doesn't work. It's stopping people from being forced to work 3 part-time jobs for less than minimum. Labor Day marks the end of unemployment benefits for 8.9 million people. Even if job growth went back up to 700,000 new jobs a month, it would still take over a year to absorb nearly 9 million into the workforce. Our struggle isn't over. It's just begun. Millions in U.S. lose jobless benefits as federal aid expires, thrusting families and economy onto uncertain path. And as you know, chat, the pandemic is over, right? The pandemic is over. Like, we don't need people to stay home. We don't need social distancing. We're not at like the second highest level since last summer. You know, that's not what we're doing right now. I mean, like, look how much worse we are than last summer. Look how much worse we are than last summer. And then look, there was a Labor Day spike. Holy shit. Look how much worse it is than last summer. The biggest spike was in the winter. This is last summer. This little teeny, what we at the time thought was a mega wave. But hey, let's cut the unemployment benefits for COVID because everything's fine. Those are probably Florida's numbers messing up the curve. I mean, things are not looking good, folks. Florida has had 3.3 million cases. Jesus Christ. More than 7 million people out of work. More than 7 million out of work people in the United States are set to lose all their jobless benefits as 3 federal programs expire on Monday. And what several experts described as one of the largest and most abrupt ends to government aid in U.S. history. In addition to more than 7 million people who lose all their benefits, nearly 3 million more people will lose a $300 weekly boost to their state unemployment benefits. The cessation of jobless aid, first put in place by Congress nearly 18 months ago, could upend the lives of millions of Americans still struggling to find work at a time when the pandemic's Delta variant is wreaking fresh havoc across a number of states. It could also lead to a sharp pullback in spending, particularly in certain areas of the country, impacting a wide range of restaurants and other businesses that rely on consumer dollars. I don't understand how anyone in Washington cannot know normal people, their families, friends, and cousins who are going through this. Are you serious? Do you think Texas's new abortion law will impact the trend of Dems moving to red states? I don't know. I mean, that was always going to happen. So I had to find a shitty bartending gig that ended up firing me 1 month after hiring me because I got COVID at that job. That's definitely illegal. Play more. That's illegal. They can't fire you for getting sick. That's super illegal. I lost all benefits just for finding a solid retail job here in NYC. It honestly helped me survive the past year. I'm just depressed knowing there are countless families struggling to find work and assistance right now. I'm lucky, but luck shouldn't be a factor determining survival and happiness. What the Welcome to conservatism, man. Conservatives, whether they call themselves centrists or right-wingers, they think that because they got lucky, everybody should get lucky. It's just the way they are. Said Kathleen Fox, a producer in New York whose past work has been recognized for a prestigious Peabody Award, but who has struggled to find work after pandemic upended her industry. The Biden administration has lost interest in this because they've moved on to other things. The White House has wrestled with how to deal with these expiring benefits. An internal debate exposes the fraught political and economic consequences of inaction. President Biden said in June that it makes sense for one of the programs, which boosted unemployment checks by $300 each week, to lapse in September, but senior aides have also called on states to reallocate other money in a way that could continue offering some support. No states have appeared inclined to take action, though, leading to this week's sudden cutoff. We don't have a single leftist government in any of the 50 states. Isn't that amazing? Now there is heightened anxiety, even within the White House, that pulling so many people off government support so abruptly. Why are they constantly being surprised by things that are like, what is wrong with the Biden White House? Are they stupid? How are they this incompetent? Like, is this their strategy, is to go to the Washington Post to be like, we didn't know, we were surprised? Like, what? Dude, I'm predicting a silent type of pain, said Andrew Stenner, a senior fellow at the Century Foundation think tank and an expert on unemployment insurance. He estimated that some 7.5 million people will be cut off from aid on the program's expiration date. If past periods have been any indicator, many will be caught in a spiral that will lead to a downward quality of life. May 29th. 14.8 million filed continued unemployment claims at the end of May. 1.6 million lost, 1.2 million reduced, and 17.8 million, which went down to 2.7 million will have their benefits reduced, and 7.5 million will lose all benefits. Great. The programs initially boosted jobless benefits by $600 a week before Congress lowered the amount to $300 a week. They also expanded the pool of workers eligible for government aid and increased the number of weeks workers could draw on unemployment insurance. But this assistance has also emerged as a divisive flashpoint in a political debate over whether government assistance discourages people from returning to work. Republicans and numerous business groups have argued the extra benefits were contributing to a labor shortage and slowing the economic recovery, alleging it had become too lucrative for people to stay home rather than get a job. They had called for investigations of fraud in the programs, alleging hundreds of billions of dollars in unemployment aid may have been stolen. Many Americans who are frightened about the sudden lack of income feel they have been unfairly swept up in the bitter political debate. Hey, dummies! Anytime someone says, why did it become so political? You're stupid. It was political from day one. Unemployment insurance? How did it get so political? That is an idea of the left. Well, I don't know about that left. I'm kind of a centrist. Well, then you're getting exactly what you like. This is what centrists believe.
I've been home for a whole year out of working, and my job was substitute teaching with the county.
I've been a nurse for 22 years, and I have recently been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. I had to work on what I went through, and I have not worked yet. It's been a few months.
Tanya Hughes and Holly Howerton are like many Americans who are looking for work as the U.S. economy opens back up and recovers from the coronavirus pandemic.
The coronavirus and unemployment. And week after week, they both keep spreading.
It's a record-shattering 6.6 million Americans filed for unemployment benefits last week.
Today is the first of the month, and that means bills are often due. Millions of Americans now suddenly trying to make a decision. How are they going to pay them?
Over 8 million people who lost their job during the pandemic year and have not been able to return to work and go back to their old job or even a new job.
Do you believe enhanced unemployment benefits had any effect on diminishing a return to work in some categories?
No, nothing measurable.
And the political spheres, and particularly the White House.
Wow, he actually gave a good answer for once. And listen to that dumb question. Just the dumbest question. That has never been true, ever. And yet they keep asking it. Like we don't know.
House versus Republicans in Congress and quite a few Republican governors have been debating whether or not some people are choosing.
Okay, so there it is, chat. Republicans are cutting your unemployment benefit. You're not being swept up into a political thing. Republicans are against it. It was political from day one. Get off your ass.
To stay home and not return to work because of the extra unemployment money that the federal government is giving out
Marty,
right now.
Paying people more in unemployment.
She is immunocompromised. They are trying to get her killed.
Martyr, thank you, man, for the 15 months. I hope
Than they could
she's okay.
receive from working is an act of substantial economic self-harm.
More than a dozen states, mainly headed by Republican governors, have now said that they will no longer pay the extra $300 federal supplement. So they've rejected that extra money in order to push people back to work. So now someone is going from $600 to $300 on average.
Increase benefits? Look, no, I mean, I think we're getting people back to work.
It is time for America to get back to work.
But for Hughes and Howerton, some federal aid have at least helped them keep up with expenses while they're out of work.
I had filed for unemployment. The amount of it, the stimulus, the additional $600 to what I was receiving helped with my monthly bills and food coming in.
Well, I got the standard stimulus that everyone else did. I have been researching this whole time for anything I could find out there that could help a single parent that was a nurse that is no longer able to work because of what I went through. And I couldn't find anything. I even wrote the president and got nothing back. I know I have to work, and that's the only thing that, I'm good at. I could jump right back into it, but I'm not ready.
I talk to unemployed people almost every day. Have I spoken to some unemployed people who are not returning to work because they are earning about $600 a week, which basically works out to a $15 an hour job? Yeah, they are earning more than if they went back to work, particularly at a $10 or $11 or $12 an hour job. But what I keep stressing to people is 9 times out of 10, when I'm talking to unemployed people, the vast majority of reasons that I get for why they're not able to go back to work right now or ready to go back to work right now are 3 very different reasons. Number 1, some people still waiting to get vaccinated or haven't passed that 2-week mark after their second shot. Number 2 is childcare. And the last one that I think people need to understand is this year has changed people.
96.5. The other one was like 93.
Yes, there's lots of job openings, but people don't necessarily want to race back to the job they had before.
It did help me to reevaluate before COVID had actually set in. I was working with Amazon and I was doing Uber driving and Postmating, but I would like to move on into other things of interest.
Howerton is actively applying to return to work, but the time off has helped her realize her next move.
They diagnosed me with PTSD now from this. I was done. And then I thought, I'm not going to let anybody take this away from me. You still have that feeling because you were responsible for these people. And so it's just been a lot, but it took me a little time to come to the conclusion that, I do still need to be a nurse. I do still make a difference. I just have to change my scope.
The thing that is really amazing about this is the minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. And companies will not raise the wage because of monopsony. Because if they raise the wage for new workers, then the current workers they do have are going to say, hey, raise the wage for me too. And so they're going to, what? I've been working here 3 years and you're going to pay someone new more than you pay me? That's not fair. You have to raise my wage. And employers know that. Employers know that. So they're not raising the wage. So they have all these empty jobs and no one's going to take them because they are in a monopsony trap. If they raise the wage for the new people, the old people are going to want their wages to be raised, and they're not going to make as much as if they just have open jobs right now. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. Now, does that mean that if you raise the wage artificially, say with a union or with minimum wage going up, that it would hurt the company? No, because they would go, well, I guess we have to pay at least that much to everyone. And they would hire as many people as they could to maximize their profit. It would increase jobs if you raise the minimum wage right now. It would actually increase the number of jobs. And this is something that seems counterintuitive. If you just think that there's a big curve that goes X demand, Y supply, and they cross over. If you think that's how the economy works, the economy could be expressed in a flat plane with 2 lines on it. You're stupid. It's okay. But the actual, if you study econ beyond 101, if you actually start going to the higher level econs, you start looking at a more, the actual stuff that studies the real life and not a theoretical pile of bullshit, you'll see, wow, job markets are in monopsonistic territory where employers have way more power, bargaining power. They have way more information, and they have existing relationships which affect the new relationship. The most pro-job thing that we could do right now would be to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. That would be the best thing we can do. Do it now, right away. Not a phase in. Like, that's bullshit excuse. When the minimum wage was increased, what seems like 100 years ago, corporations were forced to raise every worker's wages. And then production being the highest it's ever been, corporations are making record profits. Exactly. And this is not some sort of like crazy lefty, I think you ought to have a job because that's what I believe is good. This is empirical. This is just like, we know that raising the minimum wage has actually increased jobs. When you have a minimum wage this low for this long, it actually increases jobs. Why did the 40-hour work week become the full-time standard? Couldn't we advocate it for it to be less? It became the 40-hour work week because unions wanted it. And they organized and they struck and they supported politicians who mandated it. That's why we have a 40-hour work week. It's not monopolistic, it's monopsonistic. Jobs have this monopsonistic power over the market right now, and it's insane that we saw the minimum wage in parts of the U.S. is $15,000 a year working 40 hours a week. Yeah, it's absurd. Unions also brought you Labor Day, so thank a union member today. True. The stress of everything has caused me a lot of emotional distress that I didn't have before, she said. Over the summer, 26 states announced they would end those benefits early, providing a glimpse at what millions of other Americans will now face. Since then, economists have studied data on job gains and spending to see how local economies have reacted to the withdrawal of benefits amid a pandemic and to determine whether the extra aid was holding back job growth. Their conclusions are ominous. One study found that for every 8 workers who lost benefits, just 1 managed to find a new job and found a dramatic reduction in spending, suggesting that people who lost benefits were left in a precarious financial situation. The rise in jobs was a fraction of the drop in benefits. How employment of those getting unemployment benefits changed after their states ended the programs early relative to their peers in states that didn't. So in other words, like a 3 or 4% increase in jobs for a massive dip in benefits. Jesus Christ. Not in employment overall, 3 to 4% employment among these people. So it's basically nothing. The cutoff marks the end of a colossal spigot of stimulus funds. About $680 billion in emergency unemployment benefits have been distributed since March 2020, making it one of the biggest coronavirus area assistance program, just behind the Paycheck Protection Program. The emergency jobless aid was first approved in the spring of 2020 when the economy appeared to be in free fall and close to 1 million Americans were losing their jobs each day. It was designed to be temporary because of its cost, because lawmakers assumed the pandemic wouldn't last long. Look at this. As benefits fell, earnings didn't rise, spending plunged. How the financing of those getting unemployment benefits changed after their states ended the programs early relative to their peers in states that didn't. Jesus Christ. It's going to cause a recession. So if you look at the population of people that have unemployment benefits in states where they ended the program early, and so it's comparing unemployed people in states that kept the benefits and unemployed people in states that didn't. Overall, the spending was massively decreased. Holy shit. So in other words, the economies of states that cut the program are going to be massively hurt. It's unclear whether business is struggling with labor shortages. So whenever you hear this phrase, labor shortage, I want you to think wages too low. That's all you need to know. Wages too low. When you hear labor shortage, just understand starvation, poverty, wage. Now we can blame the recession on Biden. Easy clap. Yeah, good point. Even neoclassically, why would increasing labor pool increase wages? For that part, why would tax decrease on companies increase the compensation of labor? It never would. 80 million people filed for unemployment in 2020 in the U.S. alone. Yeah. Argosy Cruises, a company offering boat tours in the Seattle area, had a pre-pandemic headcount of around 250 people before it was forced to lay off 85% of its staff in August 2020. Liar, you had Paycheck Protection Program. You had literally hundreds of billions of dollars to keep people on. You didn't have to lay off shit, said Chief Operating Officer Molly Schulkbohm. The company gradually relaunched in April, and this hiring has been incredibly challenging, she said, despite wage increases and signing bonuses. Well, no shit. What happened to all those people? How did they survive from August to April? Did they go into a stasis pod? Did they not have to eat, feed, and clothe themselves and their children, you dipshit? They saw that you weren't loyal, and they went and found another job, or they went and found another gig so they wouldn't starve or become homeless, you vile piece of garbage. No shit, it's gonna take you a while to find new employees. I wouldn't want to work for your company either, you slug. Capital owners assume you phase out of existence while not working for them, apparently. Yeah. I was a chief executive chef for the last 15 years, lost my job when COVID hit. There are plenty of jobs available in my industry. I haven't found a single one that pays even what I made in 2005. You should apply, and then when they say you're hired, go, okay, this is my minimum salary. And if not, you. And then just walk out. But even in the cut in benefits, loops of the state's jobless, Argosy has seen no recent change in application numbers. I don't really think the extended unemployment benefits are the sole reason for the labor shortage. I'm seeing and hearing from candidates and employees that affordable quality child care is more of an issue. Hey, do you know what's in the stimulus bill that Bernie wrote? I'm sorry, not the stimulus bill, the reconciliation bill, the 3.5 trillion. Free universal pre-K. Childcare benefits. Hey, maybe you should pass Bernie's bill. Along with affordable housing. Hey, you know what's in the reconciliation bill? Billions of dollars for affordable housing. It's almost like Bernie Sanders knows how to solve the problems facing America. Lisa Lunsford, co-founder of an automotive manufacturing firm, said her company has around 20 immediate job openings and has received a steady stream of applicants for those jobs since July, with no noticeable uptick in recent weeks as the benefits cliff approached. I don't think it's just that simple. There are many things that are going on, Lunsford said. Some people are still afraid to come into the workplace, and the company has tried to be flexible in creating work arrangements that meet their needs. Last month, the Biden administration gave states a potential path to helping people who are about to lose benefits. They could use funds provided to states in a March stimulus law, the American Rescue Plan Act, to fill in for some of the lost aid. The Washington Post asked officials in 24 states and D.C., the jurisdictions that had continued the federal benefits as long as possible, whether they plan to extend the benefits using ARPA funds. Of those who responded, nearly all said they had no such plans or indicated the decision to do so rested with their state legislatures. There's not much ARPA aid left and a high cost to maintain weekly benefits, says Washington Governor Jay Inslee. And according to Egan Reich, states did not tell the administration, so they have no idea what's happening. Oh man, really well done. Really smart. Gotta love the centrists, pragmatic centrists who get things done, right, chat? They really know what they're doing, those pragmatic centrists. Lauren Bailey of Silver Spring, Maryland, was earning money as an Uber driver when the pandemic hit. She has underlying health problems, so she stopped driving in March 2020 and applied for unemployment benefits and was able to cover her costs as long as they were in place. When the federal benefits expire, she will be ineligible for state aid because gig workers do not traditionally qualify. Oh, Lauren, just go get an education. Get training, Lauren. Why are you sitting on your butt? Oh. Lauren has a bachelor's degree from Smith College and a master's degree from Howard. She is a black woman, a demographic that faced unemployment rate of 8.6% in August, significantly higher than the comparable national rate of 5.1%. She has been applying for positions in social media management and marketing or as a virtual assistant, and it's interviews every month, though they have yet to result in a job. She is fully vaccinated but fears a breakthrough infection and would prefer to work from home. I'm not afraid of death, Bailey said. I'm more afraid of long COVID, she added, referring to the prospect of weeks or even months of lingering illness after being infected with the virus. I'm not afraid of death. Thank God we have our master's educated Uber drivers.